trying to score an 8 or even a 9 on IELTS writing? Not really sure how the grading works. What's the difference between the different categories? What are the things that your own essay is missing that maybe those higher scoring essays have? My name is Jeff. I was an IELTS examiner for 3 years for both the speaking and the writing portions of the test. We're going to take a look at a screen share of an essay that was written for a task 2, and we're going to break it down according to task achievement, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, and grammar. As we go through it, I'll try to identify the things that I think are working to help push this essay to those higher bands, like an 8 or a 9. If you like the analysis and you want to keep up to date with when our latest videos come out, I do encourage you to subscribe and also like the channel. Let's take a look at our essay. Hello everyone, we're taking a look at another IELTS Task 2. This one just asking for a straight opinion. Specifically, the topic is about post-secondary education and whether or not it should be free or should there be tuition fees. We're going to be looking at this using the same criteria as always, so task achievement, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, and grammar, grammatical range and accuracy. Starting off with task achievement, as always, we need to make sure that we fully address the prompt. We need a fully developed position, fully extended and well-supported ideas. So let's begin by looking at our introduction. Okay. I do like the word gatekeeper, reference to college education to get started. We'll talk more about that for our vocab score. Feel free again, if you have the time, to use a more specific hook to start. I'm completely open to that, but again, let's kind of assume time pressure. You don't have a lot of time to write your hook. You just have a quick minute. Fine, I think this could work. From there, we're going to just take a quick look at our thesis statement. It should not be free, because here's our opinion. Just really clear, it should not be free. We get right to it. I'm in favor of that. That sounds good to me, so we'll give this a color. And then why not? Saturation of the job market and increase burden on taxpayers. So these are the reasons that we're going to expect to be explored. First one, saturation of the job market. Afterwards, burden on taxpayers. Okay, so I expect the first body paragraph to talk about this job market aspect, the second body paragraph to talk about the burden on taxpayers. Okay, so that's the order that you're suggesting by having this thesis statement. From there, we move on. And we can see that's kind of the progression that we start off with, the saturation in the job market. Okay. Diploma degree holders. So we start off with our topic sentence there. And the topic sentence, actually, you want to start. It introduces what the whole paragraph is going to discuss. Okay, so I'm in favor of this topic sentence. Followed by a main idea. Okay, so lots of people are getting these degrees. Cool. And then they follow that up with a little bit more detail about it. Okay, so I think that progression is okay. Okay. This next step, I would say all of this is really kind of describing this grade inflation. So these are all, in fact, what's kind of happened is this detail has kind of become a main idea of sorts. And then everything here is giving more information about the value diminishing. So I'm actually going to do this a separate color. And that type of progression is okay. That happens in paragraphs sometimes where a main idea becomes a detail for other ideas, or a detail becomes a main idea for other ideas. And that's kind of what we see happening here. So you have your main idea here. And then pretty much everything here is describing the second sentence. And that's okay. I think the progression here works. And it's good that they use multiple sentences to describe how this credential inflation works. And that's something you want to see. Take the time to make sure your ideas are being described and elaborated on. I'm okay with that progression. Let's take a look at our second body paragraph. Increasing the load on taxpayers. As we mentioned earlier, this is what we would expect from our thesis statement. Okay, the burden on taxpayers, burden on taxpayers. Okay. Starting off then with the main idea. And then the explaining where is the shift happening, what's shifting from students onto taxpayers. Okay, so they're elaborating on that idea. Great. This next one is introducing a new idea. So it's talking about why is this unfair? And then they give examples of places where this doesn't happen. So for instance, they give the healthcare example. I would say all these are details, talking more about the healthcare. Okay. So again, I think the progression here works. Topic sentence followed by a main idea and a detail. Just make sure that we're all staying on topic. That's especially clear. After you write your body paragraphs, make sure you're answering what the prompt wants. So again, just discussing what is the opinion about tuition fees. Okay, and this is all, both these body paragraphs are against free tuition. Okay. You even probably could even make that even clearer. So even like maybe adding a little word like here, like the negative outcome of free tuition. All right, but I wouldn't say it's 100% necessary. It's just something you could use to reinforce the opinion and tie it to the prompt. And then finally, we get our conclusion: should not be free. It'll lead to increasing burden on taxpayers. Okay, if you have time to make your conclusion, I would say 2 to 3 sentences. Cool, but at the minimum, you want to at least have 1 sentence. Okay, just to show again that you know how to structure an essay to your examiner. All right, so I think in terms of answering the prompt, we're able to do that. We're able to expand on our examples and what we're saying. So I think this is working for your task achievement pretty well. Let's move on and talk about coherence and cohesion. I'm going to take away all my marks really quick. And what are we looking for coherence and cohesion? Okay, cohesion in such a way attracts no attention. Skillfully managing paragraphing. Okay, so are we able to use referencing in terms of nouns? Are we able to make sure our paragraphs are flowing in a logical way? Again, we saw that with topic sentences, main ideas, and details. So that's going to help with your paragraph progression. It's going to feel more natural. Everything's linked again to your thesis statement. So your essay has a natural progression and order. Feels organized. You know, that organization aspect is crucial for coherence and cohesion. Other things like signal words are key. So let's take a look and see what signal words we see. Okay, it's like thus, linking to a conclusion, because showing like a cause and effect or a reasoning, however showing contrast, hence showing that relationship of how that term was created. For example, again, give me an example. However, again, contrast. Another indicating another idea is about to be given. It's multiple ideas. Therefore, indicating a conclusion. In conclusion, letting the reader know what you're about to summarize. Okay, so we do have some transition words and things to just connect our sentences. Let's see. You want to, if possible, try to link your paragraphs as well. So for instance, you have this paragraph here talking about diploma holders and saturation. And then the next paragraph says, another important repercussion of post-secondary education. Okay, this is the minimum that you want to do between your body paragraphs. At least have some reference that other ideas have been given. And that's what that another important repercussion refers to, the fact that other repercussions have already been discussed. You already talked about, for instance, again, the oversaturation of the market. So that's why this part here, another important repercussion, is good to have. This is the minimum. You know, you can always add on to this and build on this more to make the connection even stronger, but at least have a little bit of something here to kind of link your body paragraphs together. I think that's pretty important. Okay. In terms of referencing, let's see what referencing is going on. Referencing meaning, you know, where are we replacing nouns with pronouns or phrases, so that way we're not having to repeat entire concepts over and over again. So for instance, such education is referring back to the college and university education. Okay. Okay. And then also even the it in the paragraph, in the next paragraph, it should not be free. All of this is referring back to college education. We see a similar type of referencing going on here. So such certificates. So like we see that referring back to kind of like the diploma and degree. Okay. Other places. Oh, we see that again, repercussion. Another important repercussion. This is all referring back to pretty much that whole body paragraph that we saw above. I'll just highlight this part here to show that again. The whole paragraph is being referenced kind of with the important repercussion. Someone else says medical costs being associated with, for instance, cosmetic surgery. As an example. All right, beyond that, those are pretty much the main sources of referencing I'm noticing right now. But again, I think the paragraphs flow together pretty naturally. You have a little bit of a link between one body paragraph and the next. The paragraphs themselves are organized. Again, topic, sentence, main idea, detail. I think the progression is pretty natural. You have some signal words to your reader. These are all things that your examiner will be looking for. With that, we're going to take a look at vocabulary. Lexical resource, wide range of vocab, natural and sophisticated control, lexical features, words, things like that. Minor errors in terms of spelling, but also how appropriate your word choice is. Let's just take a look at what are some of the words that I like that I think are helping this get a higher score. Gatekeeper. Competing views. Other than that, we also have rendered free. Great. Saturation. The job market. Yes, some good words in this intro. A burden on taxpayers. Burden on taxpayers. Great. Okay. So it's ubiquitous. Meaning everywhere. Relative value. Rapidly diminishes the whole phrase. Okay. Phenomenon. Credential inflation. Minimum requirement. Repercussion, great. Post-secondary and prompt. Post-secondary was in the prompt. Because just be careful about those prompt words, not to use them too often. Once is okay. The load. The load on taxpayers, cool. Shift the burden. Foot the bill. Great, good phrase. Non-essential medical costs. Cosmetic surgery. And beyond that, we see some repetition of words. I'm in that conclusion, but overall I think the vocab here is pretty good. There's lots of good phrases here that I think are going to help push it. Again, these are words that someone scoring at like a 5 or 6, maybe even a 7 probably wouldn't even think to use, let alone use. And I think these are pretty good natural sounding expressions. I like it. In terms of spelling, I'm not seeing any mistakes. I'm not seeing any word choice that to me strikes me as odd. Okay. All the words feel appropriate. I think they're used correctly. Yeah, I think overall this could do well in the vocab section. Let's then take a look at grammar. So when we talk about grammar, wide range of structures with full flexibility and accuracy, minor errors. All right, so what are some of the grammar things that are happening here? Let's take a look. First sentence is relatively simple, and that's okay. Not every sentence needs to be complex. Sometimes students make sentences too complex, too many clauses. It's okay to use simple sentences. Native speakers use them a lot in writing as well. Not every sentence needs to be complex. Okay. Immediately following that, though, we do have a complex sentence, so it is unsurprising. Clause. There are competing views on clause, whether or not education should be free for all. Clause. So that simple sentence that we start off with is immediately followed by a 3-clause sentence, and that's okay. It should not be free, clause, because this will lead to saturation. It will increase because now we have a compound sentence, a compound clause, I should say. Yeah, so overall this sentence is complex. Okay. Notice that they're using because adverb clause. Okay, super common way to make your sentence more complex, adding a because and a subject and a verb. After that, simple sentence, negative outcome, free tuition is, so you have your subject. I like that starting the sentence though with a kind of a noun phrase, the negative outcome of free tuition. Okay, so it's not just a 1-word or 2-word subject, it's a whole little phrase there. Saturation, good. So you have a clause. So you have the rest of your sentence there. So overall, this is a simple sentence with a nice noun clause to start. So just highlight that. I think it's a good way to start. Next, another simple sentence, followed by a complex sentence. So adverb clause of time, with such certificates are ubiquitous, their value rapidly diminishes. You can see 2 clauses there. For example, in the past, simple sentence, then a complex sentence. This is, and then it's immediately followed again by because the market is full. So complex sentence. And relatively simple sentence here, followed by another simple sentence. Again, so just a subject and verb, and there's not multiple subjects and verbs. So free education really means taxpayers making taxpayers foot. 2 clauses there. This is unfair. Clause, because it forces people to pay the cost. Complex sentence, great. Other areas such as healthcare are not required. Simple sentence. Question becomes clause. Why an exception would be made. Clause. Okay. Next, you have another compound sentence. Should not be free. Clause. Followed by because this will lead to saturating the market. Clause. Followed by, and again, another clause as well. Okay, so we have lots of complex sentences here, but again, not every sentence is complex, and not every sentence needs to be complex. This is good. I think the range here is okay. In terms of grammatical mistakes, I'm not really seeing anything, which is good. Again, if you're aiming for 8s, 9s, even 7s, most of your sentences really need to be complete, but also, correct. There can't be grammar mistakes, verb tense issues, conditionals, clauses used correctly. Also checking your punctuation. I think overall, from what I'm seeing, the punctuation looks okay to me. I don't think anything that's going to drop your grade. Yep, so overall, I think this could do well on the grammar section. And yep, so that kind of concludes this look at this essay. I think it could do pretty well on all of the criteria that we mentioned: task achievement, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, and grammar range and accuracy. Still looking for some more practice with task 2 to try to get an idea of what a band 8, band 9 looks like. Be sure to check out our other videos where we analyze task 2 writing. And of course, if you're interested in pronunciation, check out our pronunciation videos as well. Again, that's the focus of our channel usually. My name is Jeff. Thanks for your time. We hope to see you in a future video. You take care.